refresh your memory as follows. Perhaps you have forgotten that Prime Minister and I are from the Icaz, having Itasi as his Carib name. Therefore, we do have traces of the Kalinago blood. But I dare say that I do have a much deeper relationship in that my maternal grandfather was a Carib born in Choiseul, St. Lucia. So we have reason to associate ourselves with the launch of this Kalinago Development Fund. Now I congratulate the two brothers, Messrs. Kelly and Ashton Granu, former parliamentarians, as well as another former parliamentarian, Cassius Daru, and the current minister and representative of the Salive constituency, Honorable Cozier Frederick, for conceptualizing the establishment of such a facility. And since leadership matters, we thank you, Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit and the Cabinet for making this promise a reality today. Once again, this is indeed a red letter day for the people of the Kalinago territory and the entire nation by extension. And I'm proud that this administration has invited me to be associated with this jubilation. Let us now create sacred space and allow the Lord to take care of this event. Let us pray. And this we do because of the power and importance of Blessed Trinity, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Almighty and merciful God, for too long the Kalinago people had great difficulty in securing loans from traditional financial institutions, thus being a major obstacle to their socio-economic advancement. The signing of this Kalinago Development Fund will reduce unemployment, achieve economic stability, increase the standard of living for them who are God's people. So we rejoice, the Lord, that through this Kalinago Development Fund, businesses will be created, retained and expanded in the territory. Educational opportunities will be provided to the young people who will see barriers reduced and the skills upgraded. We thank you, Lord, that as a result of this dream come true, in the Kalinago territory, its position as a tourist destination will be strengthened. A number of small businesses will be increased, fostering local entrepreneurship. The Kalinago tradition and culture will be supported and developed, thus inspiring a new generation of Kalinago entrepreneurial leadership aimed at ensuring continued residence and resilience of these special people as unique and invaluable. We pray, therefore, that this timely gift will be greatly appreciated by your people, Lord, and they will take advantage of it, particularly during these hard economic times triggered by the unnecessary war on Ukraine and by this pandemic. We place all those concerned into your hands as we beseech your blessings on development on this fund, the people for whom it was created, and on this dispensation, which is another gift from the Most High. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Since I'm on a spiritual quarantine retreat, I have broken some protocols to please my friends. So please allow me to depart in a while to return to the quarantine, the spiritual one. Congratulations.
Thank you, Monsignor Thomas. As we begin today's program, allow me to recognize the presence of Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Cozier Frederick, Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment, and the Parliamentary Representative for the Salive constituency, and Mrs. Frederick, other honorable members of Cabinet, Ms. Denise Edwards, Financial Secretary, Mrs. Sylvanie Burton, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security, and Dominicans with Disabilities. Ms. Marie-Therese Johnson, General Manager of Aid Bank. Monsignor Eustace Thomas, who just left us. Mr. Devon Coffey, Kalinago Councillor, responsible for tourism. Other invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome you on behalf of the Government of Dominica to this afternoon's launching of the Kalinago Development Fund, or KDF for short. A special welcome to all those who have traveled from the Kalinago territory to be present at this important event. The Kalinago Development Fund is the culmination of several years of intense work, which started from 2005 in the Office of the Prime Minister, when it was referred to as the Kalinago Development Corporation. As you would imagine, many constraints and challenges affected the finalization of the documents which would facilitate establishment of the fund. However, each of these instances enabled the government and relevant stakeholders to review the accomplishments achieved over the previous years and identify emerging issues and constraints to be addressed within the structure of the fund. We believe that this process contributed towards the relevance of the KDF, which will address the financial challenges posed by the communal ownership of land in the Kalinago territory. I wish to extend my deep appreciation to all parties who contributed to this achievement, of which the Kalinagos should be very proud. Once again, a warm welcome to all. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Devon Coffey, Kalinago Councillor responsible for tourism, to deliver remarks. Let us make him feel welcome.
Let me just say good afternoon to the Honorable Roosevelt Scarrett, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Kozia Frederick, Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization and the Kalinago Upliftment, and the Parliamentary Representative for the Salabay constituency, and Mrs. Frederick. Other honorable members of Cabinet, Ms. Dennis Edwards, Financial Secretary, Ms. Miranda Fagan, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Rural Modernization, and Kalinago Upliftment. Ms. Sylvanie Burton, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security, and Dominicans with Disabilities. Ms. Mary Teresa Johnson, General Manager of the Aid Bank, Monsieur Eustace Thomas, other invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and Dominicans tuning in, home and abroad. I say a pleasant good afternoon to you. It is indeed a great privilege and honor for me to stand here to say a few words to you on this historic occasion, the launch of the Kalinago Development Fund. I use the term historic because, as a matter of fact, what is happening here today is history in the making. This marks the start of what can become an era of rapid improvement in social and economic well-being for the Kalinago people. This initiative has the potential to be a platform through which our dreams and aspirations as individuals and as a community can become viable plans for personal and community development. It provides us with an opportunity to use our intelligence and skills to establish new enterprises and upgrade existing businesses. As our people, especially our young men and women, take advantage of this opportunity to finance further training and education, there will arise a crowd of new professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders who are eager and willing and able to deal with the present and future challenges. Our farmers, fisher folks, craft producers, agro-processors, housing contractors, and other entrepreneurs stand to benefit from this venture. Funds access for this technical training and support to purchase or build new plants and equipment in order to increase quality, production, and productivity. This will lead to an increase in revenues for businesses, more disposable income, and greater purchasing power for individuals. And families will have the ability to save and invest. We now have an avenue to create generational wealth and secure a much better standard of living for present and future generations. Now I take this opportunity to offer much thanks to all local and central government officers, Kalinago councillors, and everyone who contributed to making this significant undertaking a possibility. This initiative has been 2 decades in the making, and seeing it come to fruition augurs well for the overall development of the Kalinago territory. Much gratitude is due to Mr. Kelly Grano and other past parliamentary representatives, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, the Prime Minister, and all who have interest in the holistic development of the Kalinago people. As a councillor, together with the Kalinago Chief and Council, we look forward to positive collaboration with all who desire to work for the advancement of the Kalinago people. We pledge our resources and skills to make the most important venture a success, which will have a very positive impact on the lives and livelihood of all residents of the Kalinago territory. Let me encourage all residents of the territory to prepare yourselves to take advantage of all opportunities which this Kalinago Development Fund offers. Over the past decades, so many of our people, hopes and dreams, have remained unfulfilled because of lack of access to finance at a rate we cannot afford. The time has arrived for our people to take charge of our destiny and be on par with the other citizens of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Future generations will not forgive us if we do not take advantage of the benefits to be derived from this innovative scheme. The wait has been long. Our patience has been tested as we, despite our hard work and wise use of our available resources, have witnessed the rest of the Dominican population advance, while we have wondered when will our turn come to fully participate in the socio-economic advancement of our beloved Whitey Kubuli as we chart our course into the future. I pray that the great spirits and ancestors bless our efforts and guide us to a much brighter and successful future where the Kalinago people and all citizens can realize the fulfillment of their dreams and aspirations. We look forward to the successful implementation of the Development Fund. We urge all those who will play a role in the administration of the fund to be fair, honest, and follow all guidelines in order to ensure the maximum benefit to the greatest number. The future looks great, and we must be prepared to take advantage of all opportunities. I note here as well that seldom do we find rose bushes with no thorns. And the fund of this program, which I am sure will be dealt with in time, is the amount of money allocated to the startup, which everyone will grudgingly agree with me could be much more. Nonetheless, this is the time for a new beginning. Kalinago rising. Ain't no stopping us now. May God bless us and keep Dominica safe from all man-made and natural disasters. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coffey. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Coffey was only sworn in this morning as a member of the Kalinago Council, so let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Coffey, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you on your election to the council, and I wish you continued success in your new dispensation. The process to develop the Kalinago Fund was a very participatory and consultative one, with the involvement of various government ministries, the Kalinago Council, and a number of key Kalinago community members. The Kalinago community is fortunate to have had 4 Kalinago ministers contributing towards making this facility a reality. And for those who know him, it should come as no surprise that the next speaker was very hands-on in that exercise, not only on paper, but also on the ground during the consultations. It therefore gives me great pleasure to invite to the podium Honorable Kozia Frederick, Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment, to address us.
Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Honorable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Members of Cabinet, my colleagues, Ms. Denise Edwards, Financial Secretary, 2 wonderful Kalinago Braves, Ms. Mandra Fagan, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Environment, and also Mrs. Sylvanie Burton, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth. Ms. Mary Therese Johnson, General Manager of the Aid Bank, Monsignor Eustace Thomas, Mr. Devon Coffey, Kalinago Councillor responsible for tourism, and other councillors in the audience, the past Ubutus, former PAL reps, other invited guests, member of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, comrades and friends. I am pleased to share our wonderful Whitey Kubulian space with all of you, and to do so on such an important occasion. I therefore call on the ancestors on whose shoulders I stand to guide my words. Comrades, friends, the Kalinago is the definition of resilience. We have demonstrated this attribute throughout our existence. My people, the Kalinago, have a unique history. First people of the land, survived genocide, assisted in slave resistance, informed heritage and culture, and many other aspects of what is now Whitey Kubulian or Dominican life. I'm indeed happy to be part of a very progressive government that appreciates our struggles and who understand the present situation of the Kalinago. There is evidence of this in the promises made in our 2019 manifesto on page 46. Those are all coming to pass. Support for fisher folk and farmers, the Kalinago territory as a World Heritage Site, construction of an agricultural station, development of the craft sector, construction of over 500 new homes, the Kalinago Enterprise Fund, and Small Business Fund. More recent evidence exists in the Prime Minister's 2021-2022 budget presentation when he spoke to investing in the Kalinago. E-homes totaling more than $10 million this year, more than 4.6 will be spent, and the KDF in the excess of $800,000. Comrades, friends, our government's intervention in providing development funding is critical to the Kalinago. This is because we have a special land arrangement. That land arrangement is commonly owned. Without land as a major collateral, access to finance for housing, small businesses, agriculture, and education is affected. The difficulty is that we face hardships in securing adequate development loans from commercial banks and credit unions. This is a major obstacle to Kalinago's social and economic advancement. What we launch here today as the KDF, led by the ministry responsible for Kalinago upliftment, has a long history, a very long history. Even before independence, we realized in the Kalinago space that a voice was needed in the halls of governance. We also realized that there had to be an institution to deal with the finance issue. We spoke about the Kalinago desk, a Kalinago office, developing our own bank, our own credit union. This voice was like a voice in the wilderness. We were in our own echo chamber. It was only in 2000, 97 years after the establishment of the Kalinago territory, that our cries were heard. This equals 2 generations of Kalinago people. I want to acknowledge the leadership of my predecessors, Kelly Grano, Ashton Grano, and Cassius Darrow in the process. The first step was the establishment of the Department of Carib Affairs in the Prime Minister's office, and the idea to establish a Kalinago Development Corporation, or the KDC, came about in 2005 under the guidance of Mr. Kelly Grano, then the Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. Between 2011 and 2012, a draft constitution was set up for the KDC and developed by the Ministry of Caribbean Affairs under the leadership of Ashton Grano. In 2018, the Ministry of Kalinago Affairs, in collaboration with the Kalinago Council and a committee, commenced the process of drafting the framework for the establishment of the Kalinago Development Fund. Mr. Cassius Darrow was then the Minister of Kalinago Affairs, and I worked with him on the project as the Kalinago Affairs Development Officer. In 2019, a number of consultations in the Kalinago community on the project proposed results which had tremendous contributions, and saw a number of key members contributing to the KDF document. Last year, in November 2021, approval was granted by Cabinet for the establishment of the fund and for its initial administration by the Aid Bank. Colleagues, friends, comrades, this KDF will help us in many ways. It will increase our standard of living, create and expand local businesses, provide opportunities for young people, strengthen the KT, Kalinago territory, as a tourism destination, encourage local entrepreneurship, and more importantly, inspire a new generation of Kalinago leadership. Comrades, I hope that you have all visited the Kalinago community, at least since the beginning of the new year, at least. And to witness the massive development projects in progress. This has resulted in an employment boom. Construction of homes, 50 EU-funded homes, more than 100 housing recovery project homes. As we speak, 11 are completed. Community road access, the rehabilitation of the Kalinago leg of the East Coast Road under the DVRA project, NEP and UNDP engagements, and an end gender project with UNDP, among others. I can't find a contractor to do a little plastering at my home. The word on the street is, them and type of projects, my brother. So those who care will see all these happenings. The early morning movements of Kalinago Braves, both Carifuna and Karina, males and females, head out to work, and the evening hustles back home in pickup trucks, at the back of trucks and scooters, etc. There is a very visible development in the Kalinago space. And so, friends, our KDF will definitely support more development, even after these projects are completed. I call on my people to take this opportunity to develop serious business enterprises, build business partnerships, be diligent, use the finance appropriately. When we do that, friends, we'll be able to increase our household income, reduce unemployment, and reduce the dependency levels. This is serious business. The bank will be responsible for the administration of the fund, and there will be mechanisms in place to ensure the future sustainability of the KDF. In order to qualify, applicants must be of Kalinago ancestry, and any infrastructure must be built within the Kalinago space. The businesses must be established and registered in Dominica. As a matter of fact, the check will be handed over today, so people can start applying immediately. So like my boss normally says, well, comrades, let's roll. Let's roll. So as I end, I salute the work of former Ambassador and Development Officer, Dr. Charles Corbett, Charlie, Mrs. Sylvanie Burton, who was a former Kalinago Affairs Development Officer, P.S. Mandrafagan, the FS and the Budget Controller, Development Officer Donaldson Frederick, and AS Sharon Burton. You all helped to make this happen. Thank you, Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. My cabinet colleagues, especially those who were in the subcommittee who assisted me and who graded me through that process to make this a reality. Special thank you to my wife, Gwyneth, and our children for your support and patience. And thank you to the Salibel Labour Party branch and the people of the Salibel constituency for your faith in me. Long live the Kalinago. All my generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Frederick. Let us give him another round of applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we could not have reached this important milestone without the leadership and constant guidance of the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, who I will now invite to address us.
Just to say that I believe that I am the only Prime Minister of our country who has been honored by the Kalinago chief and the Kalinago people. So, and I think that was done under the leadership of Chief Williams. And if Chief Williams give you an honor, you know that's no joke honor. So, I really want to recognize Honorable Reginald Ostry, our Senior Minister, Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Kozia Frederick, our Minister for Kalinago Upliftment and the Parliamentary Representative for the Salibel constituency, and Mrs. Frederick, my other cabinet colleagues who are here in full force. I would like to recognize in a very special way my friend, Mr. Kelly Grano, Mr. Ashton Grano, and Mr. Cassius Daru, our former PAL reps. I would like to recognize Chief Williams and Chief August. I would like to also recognize our Financial Secretary, Ms. Dennis Edwards, Ms. Madra Fagan, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Kalinago Upliftment, Mrs. Sylvanie Burton, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Youth Development, Ms. Mary Terrace Johnson, the General Manager of Aid Bank, Councillor Mr. Devon Coffey, who is also deputizing for the Kalinago Chief, who is currently out of state, Monsignor Thomas, who prayed first, councillors of the Kalinago Council, other invited guests, and I want to also especially recognize my friend Patrick Hill, who's here. Ladies and gentlemen, friends all, good afternoon. Let me also take this opportunity to extend a special welcome to our Kalinago brothers and sisters who are here with us today. Thank you for joining us in celebration of this milestone agreement.
a progressive move towards the sustainable development of Dominica's indigenous people. Today's ceremony marks a turning point in the development of the Kalinago territory. The Kalinago Development Fund is designed to lift our first people out of economic dependence, increase opportunities for them to build wealth, and create avenues for growth in agriculture, enterprise, and education. It will build capacity and ensure that the people of the Kalinago territory can more actively participate in the social and economic life of our country. The establishment of the Kalinago Development Fund, the KDF, is only the latest effort of this government to address the existing socio-economic needs of the Kalinago community. It builds on our recent interventions in housing, agriculture, small business and craft development, and disaster risk mitigation. Just last month, this government of Dominica, this lower political government, launched an over $5 million resilience building project in the Kalinago territory to boost climate resilience capacity, and empower residents to respond to disaster effects. As part of the project, a multi-purpose facility will be constructed to serve as an emergency shelter and community center for skills training and other educational, cultural, and social activity. Throughout the life of the project, residents of the Kalinago territory will be gainfully employed, and upon its completion, the indigenous people will be assured enhanced safety and security during adverse weather events. Construction is progressing on 50 homes in the Kalinago territory at a cost of $10 million, and 24 of which are due for completion by June this year. Under the project, our aim is to reduce this risk vulnerability and increase climate resilience in the Kalinago territory, and in the process, improving the quality of life of the Kalinago people. An additional 107 homes have been approved under the Housing Recovery Project, with some at various stages of construction and completion. This is part of our commitment to build no fewer than 200 homes within the next year and a half in the Kalinago territory, to provide residents with safe, resilient shelter, a better quality of life, and greater independence. In collaboration with our development partner, the UNDP, we are also seeing new investment in the local agriculture sector. As one example, support has been provided to 83 farmers in the Kalinago territory to build capacity to integrate climate change mitigation into effective farm practice. Women farmers are also being supported with disaster preparedness mitigation and the means to enhance their livelihoods. Farmers have benefited from the distribution of tools and equipment and support to strengthen the value chain in the cultivation and sale of cassava. These interventions are all intended to reduce unemployment, achieve economic stability, and increase the standard of living of all the Kalinago people. The Kalinago Development Fund therefore holds special significance and is another such measure designed to enhance the lives of the indigenous people. It is the result of an election promise made to my dear Kalinago people prior to the 2019 general elections. That promise was clearly articulated in the Dominican Labour Party's Dynamic Dominica Manifesto, as well as in the 2021-2022 fiscal year budget address. It acknowledges the need to empower the indigenous people through the provision of financing, technical assistance, and training for social and economic projects in a wide range of productive areas. We understand the challenges that communal land ownership poses for the people of the territory in terms of their ability to present adequate security to acquire loans for self-advancement. This difficulty to secure loans from traditional financial institutions like commercial banks and credit unions is a major obstacle to the social and economic advancement. Such restrictions have, over many years, impeded the progress of the Kalinago people in housing, small business development, agriculture, and education. This fund is one step forward, helping our Kalinago people overcome this long-standing roadblock. From today, the Kalinago people are being afforded easier access to credit, to build resilience, sustain livelihoods, increase earnings and household incomes, and launch financial viable businesses. It guarantees an increase in employment levels due to a focus on enterprise development in the areas of crop production and processing, offshore fisheries, arts and craft, and ancillary tourism industries. I highlight these because they are the traditional economic activities practiced in the Kalinago territory. Access to funding provides our Kalinago sisters and brothers with renewed impetus to practice their arts and craft skills, to generate revenue, and re-establish the territory as a hotspot for visitors, local and foreign, who crave the authentic indigenous experience. An amount of $806,000 has been disbursed to the aid bank to begin capitalizing the fund for lending to people of Kalinago ancestry at a most concessionary interest rate of 2%. The monies in the fund are intended for, but not limited to, residential and commercial development, cultural development, enterprise development, crop production and processing, education, and climate resilience and renewable energy development. The terms for lending have been developed to ensure that the Kalinago people are able to access the funds with ease and in quick time. As part of the arrangements, borrowers will be granted a grace period of a maximum of 6 months on the payment of the principal and interest, and the maximum term of the loans shall be up to 10 years, exclusive of the grace period. These, I think, are very friendly terms, and it is my hope that our indigenous people will take full advantage of this opportunity to invest in their personal ventures, to add value to their own lives and the community at large. And all of those investments must be done in the Kalinago territory. So the monies will be spent in the Kalinago territory to improve the circumstances of the Kalinago people. I must note, this is not a one-off disbursement. It is this government's intention that the fund operates as a revolving fund. And I give a commitment today to place in the budget over the next 5 years a yearly amount of a minimum of $1 million beginning in the 2022-2023 budget address. So in the next 5 years, we will capitalize the fund with no less than $5 million. And that's a commitment I believe is worth more money. It's safer than the commitment you have in the bank. Because you know, when Roosevelt Skerrit gives a commitment, he fulfills that promise. And so, I'm not sure what else is going to be in the budget, but certainly this one is already written down. I am very proud and indeed elated that this government has been able to turn the idea of a Kalinago Development Fund into reality. It is a most emphatic statement of a commitment to the welfare and advancement of the Kalinago people. And just to say, reference was made by speakers before me about the many attempts of finding the appropriate iteration for this fund. But in the interim, and certainly, especially in the time of the representation of Cassius Darrow, every year, we made $1 million available for small business development in the budget. And those monies were spent by providing grants to our Kalinago brothers and sisters in the various aspects of small business. So I wanted to put in a small piece of history that was very significant in all of the dates that were given. Because, because there were 20 years and nothing, now let's stop anything. It has always been there. We've only given money, but now we're putting it in a more structured, in a more transparent, in a more accountable system, and so that it is there for all to see and benefit from. This government, like all governments across the world, has not had an easy time during the COVID-19 pandemic. Revenues are down and expenditures have skyrocketed. But we have not shirked our responsibilities as a government, and we have certainly not abandoned our commitment to the people of Dominica. Our job is to ensure the safety and well-being of every Dominican citizen. Despite the harsh challenges we face, we remain steadfast in our goals to create a more progressive country where every citizen can realize his or her aspirations for successful, rewarding lives. Today, the indigenous people of this country are being handed an additional means to be full participants in the dynamic Dominica we promised. I am truly excited about the prospects for your development and for the many of you who will benefit from this facility. I assure you of my enthusiastic support as Prime Minister of this country as you begin to capitalize on this opportunity. Words cannot express my profound excitement and elation for this day. And history will record it, and I say so with the greatest sense of humility, because I am not, or I'm a very confident person, but not a boastful person. Some people confuse the two. It is under my leadership as Prime Minister of this country that any government has taken the Kalinago people seriously. Not in words, but in actions and deeds. And today, the Kalinago people are a more confident people in this country. Gone are the days when we were being told and even confused with Chinese people. And gone are the days when we couldn't leave our bus stop and walk through the city without being harassed. But through education, through respect, through placing confidence and a special attention in the Kalinago people, today we are proud people. We are proud people. And so every step we make towards our own economic independence, as small as that step may be, is a moment to celebrate. And today, we should celebrate this moment, and every conscientious, faithful Kalinago person should give the thumbs up to this moment, to this occasion, and to this opportunity for Kalinago brothers and sisters. And you have seen, we've had many governments before, but it's only under this Labour Party government that we have placed special recognition by having a ministry, a full-fledged ministry, with a minister and appropriate staff to look at the affairs of the Kalinago people. And I have deliberately gotten involved directly in the way of life of the Kalinago people, because I know every cranny in the Kalinago territory. I've walked every single square inch of the Kalinago territory. Because as a student of history, I know of the struggles of the indigenous people of this world and our own indigenous people here in Dominica, who were almost castigated to the eastern part of the country and left to fend for themselves. And then at election time, politicians would come and ask them to vote for them and even offering them rum and concours. And then we turn our back on the indigenous people. I give you the assurance that this Labour Party government will never turn its back on the Kalinago people of Dominica. Because we owe our very independence and survival to the indigenous people of this country. No matter what race you are in Dominica, they stood and defended our patrimony, lost lives. Their blood was shed for the defense of our patrimony against colonialism, and conspired with the Negmao to topple slavery and get our emancipation. And those who do not want to celebrate with us, and I speak sometimes of our own Kalinago brothers and sisters, who, the way they speak, always seem to denigrate their own people for political ends. It is wrong, it is shameful, that we must stand always in defense and in admiration of our indigenous people. And so, my friends, I am very happy to be here. I give you the assurance that no less than $1 million in the next 5 years will be placed in the budget to capitalize this fund, to ensure that we'll always have money in this fund to respond to your requests for loans. And the Lord has been good to us. And so I present that plea to him in prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. And it is written, knock, and the door shall be opened unto you. And ask, and it shall be given unto you. And we have every faith and confidence that that which you put before the Lord, he shall answer in the affirmative. God bless the Kalinago people. God bless Dominica. Thank you very much. I think when you're private, you can do anything on the program, so you can speak any time. Right? But I really wanted to thank and to recognize the efforts of so many people who contributed to this process. And I first want to thank my former colleagues, Parrep, all who played their part in this process. I want to thank my dear friend and sister who's been a champion for the Kalinago people, who has spent all her life in the Kalinago territory representing the interests of the Kalinago people. My dear sister, Sylvanie Burton. And the former chiefs who worked with us, diligently, all of them who worked with us diligently in ensuring we got to this point, advocating for it. I want to recognize the efforts of Patrick Hill, who's been so gracious with his time and his energy. People like Prosper Paris, so passionate, and who always ensured that culture was not left out in the financing consideration and the development of craft. The Kalinago councils, the various councils, to recognize the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Kalinago Upliftment. And I want in a special way to recognize my friend and colleague, Kozia Frederick. And I think most times people seek to misunderstand Cozier Frederick. Cozier Frederick has a very profound brain and understanding of things. And he is about the true emancipation of the Kalinago people. And so sometimes he may speak, above many of our heads in terms of his articulation of his plans and programs. But we're seeing the fruit of that today, of that diligence, and that technical capacity which he has, which is so profound. And I don't give people marks for free, far more in the public. So when I say something, it is words that are true. And so I want to say to the Kalinago people that you have in Cozier somebody who understands. He may be rough on the edges, but nobody can take away his absolute commitment to the Kalinago people. This is a guy who left school and returned to the Kalinago territory. Went to university, came back, returned to the Kalinago territory. Went back to university and came back and returned to the Kalinago territory. This is a guy whose house is right next to the road, going to the cemetery in the Kalinago territory and to the church. Built in the middle of the Kalinago territory. You judge people not by perceptions, but by their actions and deeds. By their fruits you shall know them. That's what it is written. And you're seeing the fruits of Cozier Frederick. And indeed, by extension, the lower part in the Kalinago territory. So I want to thank all of them and the very many people. I see my friend Marie-José Edwards, who played a very crucial role because you wanted some independent eyes, and Marie-José has a very good brain, and very good at technical stuff, and she was able to help in refining some of the things. And of course, quite forget my financial secretary, who's been very helpful in looking at the documents and stuff. So there's so many people who have the permanent secretary in the office of the Prime Minister. So many people who have played their part in realizing this day today. And I think it's a good start. It's left to us, all of us, to build on it and to assure it of its success. And of course, its longevity. Thank you very much.
Let us hear it again for the Prime Minister. Thank you very much, PM, and we welcome your pledge of $1 million over the next 5 years for the KDF, and I hope that the FS is taking notes for when we make our budget submissions. At this point in time, we will have the handing over of the check and signing of the agreement between the Government of Dominica, represented by Ms. Denise Edwards, Financial Secretary, and the General Manager of the Aid Bank, Ms. Marie-Therese Johnson.
a red and yellow line for the Kalinago people. And you see the red and yellow, the red and yellow are the colors of the Kalinago people.
Thank you very much, Ms. Edwards and Ms. Johnson. First Thessalonians reminds us that in everything we should give thanks, but this is the will of God. To deliver the vote of thanks, I now invite Mrs. Sylvanie Burton, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security, and Dominicans with Disabilities. Mrs. Burton.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Honorable Reginald Austri, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development. Honorable Kozia Frederick, Minister for Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment, and Parliamentary Representative for the Salibia constituency, and Mrs. Frederick. Other honorable members of Cabinet, Ms. Dennis Edwards, Financial Secretary, Ms. Mandra Fagan, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Rural Modernization and Kalinago Upliftment, Ms. Mary Therese Johnson, General Manager of the Aid Bank, Monsignor Eustace Thomas, former parliamentary representatives of the Salibia constituency, former Kalinago chiefs of the Kalinago Council, and members of the Kalinago Council, Mr. Devon Coffey, representing the Kalinago chief, and other members of the Kalinago Council present here with us today. Other invited guests, members of the media, other persons from the Kalinago territory, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon to you. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Today, ladies and gentlemen, marks a memorable red-letter day in the lives of the people of the Kalinago territory and in the history of the Commonwealth of Dominica. We often hear this phrase, nothing happens before its time, but we also know that perseverance is the mother of success. The name moved from Kalinago Development Corporation to Kalinago Development Fund, but we never gave up. Honorable Prime Minister, you have persevered with us, the Kalinago people. This journey for the establishment of the Kalinago Development Fund started over 20 years ago with former Kalinago Chief Garnet Joseph and Hebrew, our former parliamentary representative, Kelly Grano. The idea was kept alive with every Kalinago chief and every Kalinago representative thereafter. I recall the nights when a vehicle would be hired to transport Kalinago leaders who lived in Roseau to join us in discussions on the Kalinago Development Fund. And we would deliberate on that subject well into the late night. This moment today is truly a step in the right direction. A step to uplift the social, economic, and cultural development of the indigenous people of Waitukubuli. I say thank you on behalf of my people to the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, a true friend of the Kalinago people. Leadership always matters. Your advice, PM, your interest, your willingness to always assist and go the extra mile will undoubtedly be etched in our minds for a very long time. Thank you, PM. We sincerely appreciate your leadership. To all the members of the Cabinet of Ministers of this government and parliamentary representatives present here today, you have made history for us. Your contribution in making this KDF a reality is noted with thanks. Former parliamentary representatives Kelly and Ashton Grano and Cassius Darrow hats off to you for your role in this initiative. Former Kalinago Chief Garnet Joseph and members of the council, past councils, you all are trailblazers. I know that during the tenure of Chief Joseph, he was adamant that we should start the KDF with absolutely no money. I recall this was a point of discussion during the conference of the Eagle and the Condor. I don't know if you remember that, right here in Dominica. Our Canadian indigenous brothers also contributed to the discussion on the KDF. Many thanks to Mr. Joseph for his contribution. Mr. Charles Williams, former chief, thank you also. We know that your goal was to move the KDF one step further into a Kalinago bank. Today, we express gratitude for your input in the process. Our parliamentary representative and Minister for Kalinago Upliftment, you have ensured that the light is now out of the tunnel, not in the tunnel, not at the end of the tunnel, but out of the tunnel for all your people to benefit from this progressive venture. Hard work always pays off, and today we can say yes, a milestone has been achieved under your stewardship. Another paragraph to be added to your historical inscriptions on the Kalinago journey. Thank you, Mr. Minister. To the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Fagan, and staff of the Ministry for Kalinago Upliftment, our brother, Mr. Donaldson Frederick, and of course others, we say thank you. We are appreciative of your contribution towards the continued upliftment of the Kalinago people and the Kalinago space. To the Financial Secretary, we are grateful for your support. We truly appreciate. Kalinago Councillor, Mr. Devon Coffey, congratulations on your attainment as a councillor. I want to also say how appreciative we are of your presentation here today. These are the fruits of the Kalinago territory. Ms. Johnson, manager of the Aid Bank, we want to thank you, the bank, for the partnership with the government of Dominica in making this venture a reality for our people. In everything, we must give thanks to the Lord, and so we want to thank Monsignor Thomas, who led us in prayer. To all the Kalinago braves and warriors who spent hours, a number of us spent hours and hours, days, and who never gave up on this initiative, we can truly say that a dream has come true. We helped make it happen. But let me implore you, we still need to work with our people to ensure that they reap maximum benefits from the KDF in the right areas. As leaders of our community, we have a responsibility to make it work. To personnel of the various media houses here today, you brought this auspicious ceremony to the general public, both here and abroad. We want to express our thanks. Thank you also to the many people who worked behind the scenes to ensure that this ceremony was held in this wonderful space. Much appreciation to you. Once again, thank you to all, and may God continue to bless you. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Burton. Can we give her another round of applause, please? Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program, and I just want to thank you all once more for sharing this important, historic moment with us. Thank you. We do have some refreshments which will be served in the other room.